Hello, welcome to this tropical update for the Atlantic. So let's see what's happening. We still have these three same disturbances, and the probabilities are very similar to yesterday. This one is still 0 and 30% chance there, and the models like yesterday night showed more support, something in the southwestern Gulf. So we are watching that. There's this little disturbance at 10%. Environmental conditions will likely become unfavorable for the van by the end of the week, but he might try to do something, but I'm not very confident about that. And there's this one lowered down to 20% chance. So, but the same thing might happen. The conditions might become less favorable later this week, but it still might try to become a small depression or something, but very low chance. So let's see, the Eastern Pacific still quiet, but we might have to monitor later, and the Central Pacific as well. So uh, first things first, let's see rainfall, because that shock wave crossing there, that left those heavy rains in Hispaniola and everything. Will bring some heavy rains to Jamaica today. This is rainfall in the next 36 hours, so like 1.5 days or something. So it shows more rainfall in the tip of Jamaica there. That red is like, this is in inches, but it's close to 1.5 inches near the western tip of Jamaica. Shows a lot in the Gulf, in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, so be careful there. We'll talk about in the severe weather video there as well. And it shows more in Belize, in Guatemala, Mexico, some heavier downpours in some spots, especially with this tropical wave approaching Central America near northern Honduras and Belize, and in the afternoon in Mexico there, the thunderstorms. So be careful there. Let's see here. This is that was the GFS. So this is the European, same time frame. It shows there a lot in the Gulf there, like I showed you. It shows a lot in Jamaica as well, close to 1 inch in parts of the western, like easternmost tip of Jamaica, and the whole island will have more rain, some gusty thunderstorms. We'll show you in millimeters later in another site there. But let's see, it shows also more in eastern Mexico, northeastern Mexico, more some heavier downpours the next day or two, and even later. Shows more in Belize, Guatemala especially, some more storms, Honduras, northern Honduras with that tropical wave, and still a storm or two in Cuba, in Hispaniola, some showers in the Caribbean. So yeah, and the Cabo Verde shows some rain, the southern part of the Cabo Verde, might be a storm or two, but nothing very crazy there. So let's see here now the models, what they have for development, but there's nothing very imminent at this point. It shows the system, the Western Caribbean there, the rain into Belize and Guatemala and Mexico, and the GFS tries to spin up something, but actually does it on the Pacific, not on the Gulf. But later, even by like September 14th, it does try to do something in the Gulf there and keep some heavy rains there. And if it's doing something crazy, like bringing more moisture towards Florida there by September 17th, just moisture, not a system, then it tries to form something by the East Coast. The GFS has actually a stronger system there formed by September 11th, going out into the Atlantic. So this is like a week or two out, so take it as a grain of salt, but we'll keep monitoring. The 0 European shows some extra tropical low pressures there, just potentially more rain through Canada and the US. We'll monitor that, and then it shows the wave in the Western Caribbean. Might try to do something in the Gulf, but it doesn't have any development there, just on the Pacific tries to spin up something. But either way, there'll be a lot of heavy rain this next few weeks or so in Mexico, Guatemala, and those areas. So be aware. And then the European does have a system at a higher latitude coming off into the Cabo Verde by September 11th, trying to become something there. So we'll also watch that. the Canadian model has, wait, the system, the Western Gulf there, no, Western Caribbean, sorry, and then it goes into Belize, Mexico with some more rain, but I don't think that's a compact system, just some more heavy rain. Then it goes to the Gulf and actually forms a tropical storm in the southwestern Gulf. So the Canadians developing this, and we're watching those tiny little systems trying to do something. Might become a short-lived depression or two, but nothing crazy. So, and the icon is showing, let's see, the Western Caribbean there, and then it goes to the southwestern Gulf, and the icon is also turning that into a tropical storm. So we'll keep monitoring that, but just be aware there in Guatemala, Mexico for the heavy rains and everything. And I better say this in a way they will understand better. So let me see. Olá, entonces va a haber más lluvia fuerte en Guatemala, Belize, México estos días así por estas ondas tropicales, olas tropicales que traen más lluvia esta semana en Guatemala, México, más tormentas ahí, unas lluvias más fuertes pueden pasar México, principalmente semana que viene, que puede haber algún sistema más fuerte en el Golfo así. Precauciones con las tormentas y todo. Good. Let's see now some ensemble. So this is the GFS. It has all the way to 336 hours. So let's see, it has some support for that first system there in the Atlantic. Just some support like tropical depression or storm. Some models show, but nothing crazy. It has some crazy systems near the East Coast, like not tropical, I think, and some support in the Gulf. There's a lot of members showing like tropical depression, tropical storm there in the Gulf too, so we better watch that. And some odd members going towards Florida, but you likely just stay the southwestern Gulf or in the Pacific side. So let's see. The European shows 240 hours. It shows a lot of confidence for that system, the Atlantic there, but not a lot of support. But because it's that system, the higher latitude there, they might try to do something later. First is this first system there at a 10%, 20% chance there. So it has some probabilities for a tropical depression or storm there, but no big threat for land. And then it has support for the Gulf there, a lot of support, not huge amounts of support, but it has a considerable amount of members showing tropical depression there, or even a storm. So we'll keep monitoring. And the tropical storm probabilities from the European model shows by the 8th of September some 5% probabilities in the Gulf, but then later really rises to like 40% chance there in the Gulf of a tropical storm by September 9th. Still a 40% chance there by September 10th. Let's see, September 11th, like a Wednesday, shows all the way to 50% tropical storm probabilities there in the Gulf. The rest, just some small probabilities near Africa. And then it keeps going there and slowly fades. But we gotta watch that area. The Europeans is really hinting at something. So let's see now, tropical depression probabilities. By September 7th, it already has a 70% tropical depression probability there, but that's probably mixed up with the rain in Texas and everything, so don't mind that very much. Just be careful the heavy rainfall, because there was flooding there in Texas and everything. So, but it has some 40 to 50% probabilities there in the Western Caribbean, but most likely, if it develops, it will be in the Gulf, not there. But let's see, by September 8th, still some 40 to 50, even 60% probabilities in the Gulf. And then by September 9th, it shows a small area of 60 to 70% tropical depression probabilities there. Along Mexico and the Pacific too, there'll be a lot of heavy rains there, and some 10 to 20% probabilities in the Atlantic by September 9th. So gotta watch that too. But if you are there, just be monitoring this and be careful with the rain there. So let's see here in millimeters the rainfall. So in the next 5 days it already shows a lot for Mexico, more than 100 millimeters, 170, 180 millimeters in Mexico. more further south, some heavier storms during the day, especially the tropical wave. Some 80 millimeters in Belize, 51 in Guatemala, even to 100 in parts of Guatemala. So be careful there, the heavier storms. In Jamaica, it only has around 52 millimeters there, but be aware, there might be a heavier storm or two. And the GFS, similar thing, some 35 millimeters there. And it has a lot in Nicaragua, shows more in El Salvador, Nicaragua, some heavy rains there. Guatemala, Belize, and El Salvador, be aware of heavier thunderstorms during the day, especially this tropical wave in Belize and Mexico, the heavy rains there. Western Mexico, more thunderstorms in the afternoon. Cuba, Hispaniola, some more afternoon storms and passing showers. In the Bahamas, some showers. And it shows some more storms in the northeastern Caribbean, maybe some showers there. And the European has some showers as well. So be aware. Northern South America, some more in Suriname, Guyana, northern Brazil, some more in Colombia, western Colombia, especially western Colombia there, be careful with landslides and some storms in Venezuela, and more. So stay safe there from the heavy rains and everything. And it has the disgusting winds there passing through Jamaica. Might be some slightly larger surf. Also gusty winds near the southern Bahamas, so be aware. And yes, this is mainly it. And later some other stuff there. So, and even as this gets into the Gulf, maybe Saturday already shows some gusty winds near Mexico and Texas. So we gotta watch that too. So stay safe, bye.